So it might not look like it, but London is really busy and also kind of super inefficient, or at least the lines that are coming out of London are not as efficient as they could be. For example, we have these passenger lines coming in here that are using trains that are 44 years old, which isn't the worst. We have had older vehicles, but these guys could be so much better. There are trains that can reach 100 plus miles an hour, 150 miles an hour that can move passengers that we're just not using. And to be fair, a part of the reason that we're not using them is because the cargo trains that run on the same tracks are relatively slow. In fact, these guys haven't been upgraded in so long that the cargo wagons on this train can only do 50 miles per hour. So these things are really holding us back. And so there's sort of two things that we can do about this. We can obviously upgrade the cargo trains, which I would like to do, but I'm also thinking that we move cargo out of this train station completely, because to get cargo to this station, we bring trucks through London, which adds to the traffic situation. We're just dropping it off at the side of the road here, that's not what we're dropping it. Where are we dropping it off around here? We're dropping it off in here, which is, you know, causing traffic with some really old trucks as well. All things considered, this could be made a fair bit more efficient, and that's kind of what I want to do. And part of doing that is going to involve some changes to London City Airport up here, because we already have London Annex, which is a truck depot. So my thinking for this is that we go in here and we build ourselves just a little section of road right here. In fact, I think we're going to flatten out this terrain first, just to bring it nice and level right to about there. That gives us a nice little platform to build this road on, and it doesn't need to be huge. A 40-meter length of road is totally fine, because my thought process here is that we build a 2-track, 320-meter high-speed cargo train station. And I think that right there would be kind of the perfect place for it. Now, for some reason, it doesn't want to snap to my road, which is really, really kind of annoying me. I was really hoping I could just make this work, but apparently it doesn't want to. I'm going to make this happen one way or another. It doesn't want to snap to why does it not want to snap to the road? This should work. I swear this never happens. Let's just level out a little bit more terrain here. Let's just build out a little bit more road and see, is that enough to do it? That is enough to do it. Ooh, and I can get it really close in here as well, which is kind of perfect. So it's going to live right there. Ooh, yeah, we're going to have to do some stuff to some of the roads around here to make this a little bit better. But this is sort of my thought process. This is what I'm thinking we can do to move cargo. We can move it to the airport. We can drop it off here. We can bring the trucks in. You know, they're not going anywhere near as far as they would be otherwise. So this, I think, is sort of the way to go. I think this will work really nicely. Now we are, like I said, going to have to make some changes to this road just a little bit. So we'll bring this guy back to here. We'll bring this guy all the way back to here. And I think what I'm going to try and do is, I guess, take the road down underneath the train tracks. That kind of seems like the easiest way to do things. So we'll level this terrain out. We'll keep it nice and level the entire way through here. All right, so this is what I'm thinking is going to take over cargo train work in and around London. And I kind of like this little thing right in here. I think it works really, really nicely. And if it wasn't obvious, my plan is simply to run a new train line that goes from London to Manchester. And that's how we're going to be moving the steel up there for the machines production, because the system that we have down here just isn't working. It is holding back my passenger lines. And to be quite honest, I think HS1 is overdue a bit of an upgrade. It is making money, which is good, but I feel like it could be making more. And it's the same story with London Steel Machines. It is only moving 235 per year. I would like that to be much, much higher, because if we look at the Canterbury Steel Mill, well, it's able to make a little bit more. I just want to try and max this thing out, man. We've been going for a while with this series. I'd like to see what we can do here. I'm also sort of keenly aware that we might be aiming directly at a forest. Oh, we're just going around it, which is lovely. That is exactly what I was hoping to do right there. Now, I do wonder, should we bring this out and then sort of just bridge over this part of Cambridge here? I think we might have to. So what I'm going to try and do, and this is going to look a little bit terrible for now, but that's okay, is I'm going to bring this through to here, or rather I'm going to just level this out here. We'll do some auto parallel tracks as well. And my goal is going to be to see if I can use this to sort of bridge over what's going on. We might actually need to go a little bit higher with this just to make sure that we do actually get a bridge through here. So if we just push this straight through, obviously looks a little bit terrible. A lot of this is going to be going away, but this is just to make sure that we can actually get the tracks to be nice and level where we need them to be. So if I start right here and we just go straight across like this, that should give me some parallel tracks, which it does. Take out that road for a second. I am also probably, you know what I realize? I'm probably going to want this to be a bridge, at least in a few spots. So we'll bring this back. In fact, I wonder if it would be better, because we only need to go over here. Would it be better to do this part of the entire thing now? And then we have our little bridge right there, which is lovely. If I could just take out, say, this part, that would be kind of great. In fact, I'm going to take this part out. Oh, I need to take out you somehow. Is it going to let me? It's struggling a little bit is what it's doing. I'm not too sure why it's struggling right now, but it's struggling. I think there might be some tracks just overlaying each other there, but that should be fine. We'll take out these parts as well. This part's okay. This can all come back as well. And I think this part in here is kind of where the bridge is going to go. I might even bring this forward just a little bit more so we can hopefully get just a little bit more of a bridge going there. I just want to make sure we don't have level crossings. I want to try and make this as high speed as it can possibly be. I think that's kind of important to me. So that's kind of the goal. Now, obviously this doesn't line up perfectly, which isn't great. So we're kind of going to try and hide that a little bit with a tunnel if the game's going to let me do that, which it absolutely is. We'll bring this up as high as we possibly can. So about there, we'll do auto parallel and build it. And you kind of can't really see that it's not a perfectly straight section of track, and I'm sort of okay with that. We'll just smooth all of this out as best we possibly can, maybe going so far as to level some of this down now that we don't really need it, and then smooth that out as well. And then the one thing I want to make sure we're doing is using some more modern bridges, because they have higher top speeds than the stone bridge that I love so much. I really do like that old stone bridge, but it just 56 miles per hour is kind of defeating the purpose of what I'm doing here. So we're going to try our best to make sure everything is as high speed as it can possibly be. Slows down a little bit around that bend, which I don't love, but I think we will manage to deal with that. We could bring this back just a little bit to try and get just a little bit more speed out of this. That is at the very least a little bit faster, which I'm fine with. So we'll go ahead and build this. I kind of don't want this part at the end to be curved. That's something or not curved, but I don't want it to be a bridge. So we'll get rid of that curved part of the bridge and just make sure it's all land. Now, one thing we will have to do here is cut straight over this way, which is carving out a whole bunch of terrain that I'd really prefer not to carve out. And we are going to have to connect into some of the existing tracks over here, which is a little bit unfortunate, unless, to be fair, the only thing we're bringing up here is steel. The only material that's, well, the only thing that's not passengers that's going into Manchester is steel. I could, if I wanted to, bring this track over and sort of, well, this isn't a through, this isn't a regular station, it's a terminus station, but I could sort of bring it into this or just bring it over to the factory itself. That would sort of be an option that we have right here. We do have planks coming in. We have machines going out. I'm kind of okay with that. I think maybe that would be the smart move, is to just bring this straight to the factory. And that would also take some traffic out of Manchester, which now that I think about it, probably a really good idea. So let's see. That's a road. We want train tracks here. Let's see if this is a thing I can sort of get away with. So we want to go straight across here is going to be the plan. So right to about that spot. It is increasing in elevation, which I don't love, and this is going to have to be just sort of a modern, ugly bridge, which I also don't love. And it does have to be that modern one because that's the only high-speed one. But I think that's okay. I think we can make that work. We're going to go ahead and build that entire stretch right there, which is automatically parallel, except for this part, which is having some problems. It's got me slightly concerned. I don't love whatever's going on here. I'm also thinking we might want to just rethink this road here, maybe lower it down a little bit or just make it look a little bit less terrible. So I'm going to just take this right back and swap it out for something that actually sort of, you know, gradually goes up to the tracks right there. So it just looks a bit better. This can be brought back as well and just have the same treatment. And that just instantly looks that little bit better. Not that it matters, but if I'm looking at it for now, I might as well have it look kind of good. As for here, we are going to grab the terrain at this height and just sort of push it straight over all of this. And this is where we're going to be doing some more bridge work over the top of all this infrastructure, which we should be able to deal with pretty well. So we'll get ourselves some tracks. We're going to push those straight down to here and then straight over to here. And then what I'd like to do is actually bring all of this back, because if I bring it right back to that bridge, I should hopefully be able to get something that looks pretty decent. We should have something that's kind of a gradual little, yeah, that's much, much better. Okay. So we'll build this, we'll bring this over to here, and then all we got to do is cross the existing infrastructure. So straight across this way, we do need that sort of modern, ugly looking bridge, which I really don't love. I hate to call it ugly looking. It does the job, but it's just not very pretty as it does it. But to be fair, you could say the same about, well, me. So that's fine. It's one of those days. I've not had enough coffee today, so the self-deprecating humor is coming out. This looks fine though. I think this will be pretty cool. It is a little bit higher than perhaps it needs to be, but you could say the same thing about no, that's allegedly. It's not allegedly at all. The only thing I'm on today is tea. I'm not even doing coffee. I'm not even doing energy drinks. It's just tea because I'm planning on starting a caffeine sort of detox in the next week or two. I've been kind of leaning on caffeine a little bit too much to get me through some of my days. So I'm kind of wanting to cut it out slowly. So I'm going from I went from energy drinks to coffee. I'm now going from coffee to tea. I've swapped out most of my sodas, my fizzy drinks, my whatever you want to call them, for caffeine-free versions. So there's gonna be I know how this works. I'm gonna keep building while I talk about this. I know what this process is. I've done it many times over, and I know full well that what's likely gonna happen is I'm going to feel terrible for about 3 days. There's gonna be 3 days where I just feel absolutely awful because, yeah, I'm just a little bit too familiar with caffeine. So it takes about 3 days for my body to sort of deal with effectively zero, caffeine and zero artificial sugars and stuff like that. And yeah, it's going to be a rough 3 days, but it's going to be good. I know that once those 3 days are up, I'll start feeling a lot better. And then any sort of sugars or caffeine and whatever that I do take will actually sort of work. Because that's essentially the biggest problem is I could chug 3 cans of a popular bovine energy drink, figure that one out, and does nothing for me. It'll keep me awake. It'll keep me awake for a while. If I have one before bed, which I don't really do, but for example, if I had one before bed, it'll keep me awake. I'll be lying there wide awake. I just don't really get a kick of energy out of them anymore because my body's so used to them. So that's kind of the problem. That's the issue that I have with energy drinks and just caffeine in general, is it's just not very effective for me because I drink too much of it. So I'm in the midst of winding down my caffeine intake just a little bit to number one, actually get some use out of them should I decide that I want to drink caffeinated drinks again. And number two, because I do drink too many of them and I want to start going back to drinking water, and I want to start, actually not continuing to drink like I'm still, 15 years old and playing Gears of War on Xbox Live for 24 hours straight. That, I'm that's kind of the goal. That's the plan. I need to remember, I need to act my age a little bit sometimes when it comes to my I don't know, drinking. Saying drinking habits sounds so much worse than it's, I need to act my age a little bit. I know I joke on the regular about, being old, and I think you're only as old when it comes, if you want to, I don't know where I'm going with this. Occasionally when I joke about being old, I will get comments that are like, man, I'm like 10 years older than you. What does that make me? And I feel bad because I'm trying to poke fun at myself. I'm not trying to make anyone else feel bad about their age. For context, I was raised by my grandparents. So the notion of like sort of being older is just like hardwired into me, just as like a way of being. So for me, I hit like 19 and I was doing like the old man sort of grumble when I sit down on a chair or get out of a chair. Like it's been a journey is what it's been. It has, you know what? We're gonna move on from this. I've got this connected now, which is good. I don't know what I'm talking about. This is good. This is connected. This is what we're looking for. So this will become our new London steel to machines line, which I'm very excited about. This is going to be really, really good for us and hopefully a lot more efficient. I don't know what is going on here. The parallel tool seems to be having some issues today, and I'm not 100% sure why it's having these issues, but at the very least, we'll tidy this up a little bit. And then we got to move some trucks. We got to get some trucks to move some steel and bring that steel in towards London City Airport, put it on a train and take it up to this factory just outside of Manchester and Liverpool. And that is hopefully going to improve traffic in London. It is hopefully going to improve traffic in Liverpool and Manchester itself. And generally, I'm hoping that it starts to put a dent in the 19,814 planks that are sitting in this factory. So that's why we're doing this. Just in case you forgot during all of my rambling, there is method to my madness. And the method is essentially that I want to have faster cargo trains, but I'm also keenly aware of the fact that cargo trains do not in general go faster than the other ones, the passenger trains. God, I'm doing great. I'm doing great today. It's a great video. Yeah, I'm keenly aware that they're not going to be as fast. So, we're gonna just try and separate everything a little bit. Is what we're gonna do. What is going on with that bridge? What is it? Because I've got this in the middle of it. Is that the problem? No, it's just really weird looking. Can I get rid of you? There we go. Can I bring this all back and just sort of redo that section of track, because it's acting out a little bit and I don't appreciate it. So we'll do this. That gives me a bit of a wider bridge, which I'm okay with. I can work with this and I can work with this. Now, can I get my little sections of track that need to cross over here? So you go there and then you go there. And that seems good, I think. I'm pretty sure this will give me problems at some point. This is kind of reminiscent of the one train station down by Limerick that gave me a lot of problems, but we're gonna see what happens here is what we're gonna do. Now, I think when it comes to signals in here, we're gonna go for spacing at about 100 meters, which is maybe way less than it needs to be. Although it also depends how long the trains are gonna be. I guess the trains, let's aim for 200. I think they're like 263 meters right now. So let's just do 300 meter spacing on these. I guess it's just how we're going to go with this. And that should give me signals the entire way down here, which it does. They are continuing the entire way down to London, which is fantastic. We will need to get rid of this one. And then what we'll do is go and place another signal just out here. So it goes in the opposite direction as well, which it's now doing. And then all I need to do is build myself some track that crosses over this way. And there we go. We have ourselves a new set of tracks, which are pretty much ready to go. So we'll create a new line that is going to go from London Halt the entire way up to this machines factory. Now, I do suspect this is going to give me problems. I'm relatively sure of that, but we'll figure it out is what we're going to do. We will, I think, put it on the same side as the planks, because I think the planks line moves a lot more regularly than the blue one that we have in here. And this will be train cargo. It'll be London to Manchester, I guess. Does it? No, it doesn't really matter what it is, does it? That's not how we do this. It is steel to machines is how we're going to look at this one. And then I suppose we need to get ourselves a train. So I guess it's going to be the flat car with side stakes. I think we'll go for this sort of steely color right here. And the capacity on this guy is going to be 169. I think that's fine. 233 meters without a locomotive. And then the locomotive in question is going to be, we could do the BR218. If we put that on there, it is mediocre in terms of power. If we use the BR103.1, it is much more powerful. It is excellent. So I think that's what we're going to do. Although that is considerably more expensive. Ooh, I don't like that. I think we're going to go with the cheaper option just until we're sure that this thing is actually going to make money. So we'll go for sort of this guy, although I don't like that color. I think maybe like a darker version of what we had. I think that'll be okay. It's a much cheaper train, so that's probably fine. We'll buy this guy. We will put it on the London Steel to Machines line. We want the red one this time though. And then it can head out. It can do its thing. We will need to make sure that the train is, if I can just grab it right there, or the line is. We need to make sure the line is only going to be picking up steel down there in London, and that should be totally fine. And then what we need to do is, well, go all the way, oh wow, my frames, all the way back down to London, and we need to go in here. We need to go to this guy, actually, steel to train, manage the line. We are going to say from London East, you are going to none of these waypoints. You are not going to that stop anymore. You are, in fact, going up there. And that should be much better. That's going to save a lot of time on that line, which is perfect. This thing can produce a maximum of 600 right now. So let me go to these vehicles. Let me manage these vehicles and swap them out for something a bit better. We've got, so you're moving steel. It's going to be this guy. That gives us a rate of 1,770. I'm going to say we can get rid of most of these. So we'll go down to 5 vehicles and see how that looks. 354. Let's do 1, 2, 3. Duplicate those. Gives us a rate of hopefully something decent. 566. I think that'll be good for now. Way fewer vehicles in that line is going to be good for us. And just while we're here, let's do something similar with these guys. So we have the coal to steel line. The rate is 512 right now. Let me get rid of all but say 5 of these. And that gives us a rate of 58. If I swap these out for this guy, that now gives us a rate of 104. Now we want the rate on this line to be something like 800, because I think that's about as much as we can bring through here. So if we clone these guys, that should give us roughly 210. And if we clone those again, that should give us about 422, 423, somewhere in that particular ballpark. Once the game figures out whether or not it wants to clone them, which it does, 421. So that's totally fine. We're moving more with fewer vehicles, which I'm completely okay with. I want to do the same thing to the iron line. So we'll go in here. We're aiming for 421 on the rate right here. So we'll sell 45 of those 50 vehicles, swap these guys out for these guys. And again, we're aiming for 421. So putting another 5 onto this line gives us 217. Cloning that again should give me just over 421. But again, that's kind of okay. It's not the end of the world if it's not perfect. We just want to make sure that we are making as much as we possibly can. So that gives us a bunch of vehicles in there, still less than we had overall, which is great news. It'll hopefully help traffic in this space just a little bit. And looking up this way, I mean, these guys can produce up to 800. So if we can get that going, that would be really nice. Although I think we might want to consider, we might want to consider just like a little ring road around Ipswich here. So let's make some slight changes. Let's see if we can make Ipswich just a little bit more accessible. So we'll do this road down here. We'll do this road in here. This road, I want to say, as much as I like it being asymmetrical, we'll just swap it out to this guy. In fact, we'll swap it out for one that has sidewalks on it, because I think it's going to look a little bit better if we have them around that intersection. In fact, right down to about there. We can do maybe just the entire way across. We'll just do sidewalks the entire way across. If you want to walk to Ipswich, you go right ahead. That is totally fine. What we'll then do is a little bit of road right here. We'll bring this all the way back. And I think the way this is probably going to work is I want to come out of here and just do like a little curve between these sections of road. I think that could look quite cool. So we'll just put a little bit of road here so I can do this properly. Take that part out, extend this part forward. And then I should be able to just do something like this. It goes through that road automatically, which is perfect. We can have this guy sort of cut off towards this road as well. And that should give us a way around the town that we didn't have previously. That is hopefully going to take some of the traffic away and make life a little bit easier for everybody in and around Ipswich. At least that's the plan. And by everybody, of course, I mean my trucks. That's all I really care about in this particular situation. But, you know, if it benefits everybody, then that's win-win. Although I will say it looks like my trucks are kind of ignoring that new road and sticking with the one that they were on previously. So just to try and help out a little bit, we're going to put some waypoints in here. We are then going to go to my coal line, manage it. And so that after Ipswich transfer, I want you to go right here. And then after Ipswich South, I want you to go right there. And that just takes them away from that main road, which I think is going to be beneficial and I'm hoping is going to do good things. I'm also looking at this space in here and thinking I want to make some major changes to the middle of Ipswich, which is going to be, this is going to be quite destructive, to be completely honest. This is pretty damaging for Ipswich, but all of that needs to go. All of this can go. And this is going to come back a little bit because my thinking is that we just have that main street go the entire way through the middle of everything. So right to about there should be fine. We basically connect. Ooh, I don't like that. Maybe this comes back as well. I think it does. I think all of that goes away. This comes forward to about here. We curve around and get something that looks kind of decent, which I think that does. This goes to about here, which doesn't look perfect, but I'm kind of okay with it. And then we just sort of punch right back through the middle of everything as best we possibly can, or at least in, I don't know, some ways that kind of make sense. I'm going to put these roads back in here, or I'm going to put some roads back in here. I'm going to set them to be owned by me so that the game doesn't completely mess up what I'm doing here. And I'm just going to hope for the best, really. That's kind of the plan. I think this road can be connected here. I think that's fine. This guy is not going to go. Do I want to do this? I don't know that I do. I don't know that I want to do all these little like angular roads here. I kind of like the grids that we had going on. I also noticed we could just punch that guy straight through there, which it is more intersections, but it is a way across that we wouldn't have otherwise. Maybe this road can come out and sort of go like this. So again, we're kind of minimizing all the different sections of road. I don't love that. Maybe this comes out completely and we just do this, which again, I don't love, but I think it's kind of tolerable. And there we go. We have this monstrosity of a road cutting through the middle of Ipswich now, which again has probably done some damage, but at the very least it gives us more lanes. We've moved one of my lines over to the side as well, which I'm hoping is going to be good for us. And all things considered, I'm generally just hoping for the best with that change to Ipswich. Now we do have a ton of vehicles going around here, which what are they? So cold is steel. Why are they in? Oh, it's because the depot's here. I got really confused for a second about why we had so many vehicles in that space, but it actually makes sense now, which is totally fine. Now, when it comes to this space down here, these trains are going to be sitting around waiting forever. So we're going to just sell them is what we're going to do. We don't need those trains anymore. We don't really need that line anymore. So we're just going to look at the London Machines to City or London Steel to Machines line and just get rid of it. Because again, we just don't need it anymore, which means I can now go in and improve those, the passenger lines that we have, but I'm not super concerned about doing that just yet because I want to make sure that this all works. That's sort of the top priority right now, is making sure that this all comes together. Now, what I would like to do is say that this guy at London Halt is going to wait for up to 10 minutes. It's going to wait for a full load, but it's also going to go to either available platform, because that way, if we have two trains in this line, which we probably will at some point, or at least we hopefully will at some point, they can both wait in here if they happen to need and or want to do that. So I suppose while we wait for those vehicles to get out and do their thing, I want to come into this space in London because I want to get rid of that road. That stop that was on there was the one that was bringing steel to this train station. And what I'd like to do with that space is build myself a little bus and tram station. We're going to put a bunch of platforms on either side, and I think we'll make it a little bit bigger. And I think right there, it's going to take out a lot of buildings, but I'm sort of okay with that. I am wondering though, should we maybe, if I can get the camera angle right, should we maybe do a little bit of terrain leveling here? We'll take out some of these buildings just so I can see what I'm doing. A little bit of terrain leveling, and then maybe just a little bit of a street in here as well. That might not be a terrible idea, just to give us a little bit of distance from the road. Now we can't go too far because obviously the station, oh, we might not be able to do this. Okay, let's take a chance. Let's take a chance here, and we'll just place this thing right in the middle. And I'm sort of okay with that. I don't suspect that this thing is going to need too much space, because my plan here is that this is going to be a central sort of bus stop for London itself. So London loops are going to go away is sort of the idea here. So if we look at our line manager, we have London loop number 1. We obviously want to get rid of the vehicles in those lines first, which I think are a little bit older now. 23 years. They're not that bad, but you know, they can be replaced with something a little bit better. And I think that's totally fine. So we'll go in here and do exactly the same thing. We'll swap out, or well, not swap out, we'll sell all of these guys. Look at our line manager and get rid of the 2 London loop lines, though I'll copy and paste that one just so I can remember to paste the name in nice and quickly. And then basically we just go around, we get rid of all of these bus stops that we have. We don't really have too many because we built the original London loop when London itself was, well, relatively small. So this will be hopefully relatively easy to do. I think what we do is we have one that sort of goes around this area because this area is starting to grow. We can have one that sort of comes out here, one that kind of goes around here, one that goes around here and to the airport, and then maybe one that goes direct to the airport as well. So my traffic is largely on the right side of the roads. So we'll do a bus and tram stop here. I know it's super close to where that thing is already, but that's probably fine. We can do a, let's see, what way do I want to do this? I think we will connect these guys together just so I have a nice little loop going around here. So this will come down and into this space. So it kind of comes down, down here, and that's fine. It is going to come back up and into this space. It is going to stop right up here as well. And I don't know how well it's going to do with traffic coming through here. So we'll sort of bring it into this space and it'll sort of come up and around and that'll be fine. So let's go ahead and create a new line that goes from here to here and then all the way out to the Grove, all the way up to George Street and then up to Park Road into here, which of course it wants to U-turn in the bridge. I was kind of hoping it wouldn't do that. Can I maybe get it to not U-turn on the bridge? Is that going to be an option if we take it off the avenue and put it instead here? No, I had a feeling. I had a feeling that is how that was going to work out. That's a little bit frustrating, is what that is. That is a little bit frustrating. Although maybe having a bus stop directly on that main avenue isn't the best idea anyway. So I think this is fine. I've also realized I probably should have done it the other way around so the bus doesn't cross over itself here, which is sort of a pet peeve of mine. So we're going to just redo it very quickly. And you know, it's just hit me that it's always going to cross over itself because it has to come down here. Honestly, that's probably fine. Let's just get it to be, I want to go for the dark red this time. We'll go for a bit of a darker red on these and see how it turns out. The next thing we need to do is bring a line sort of down this way. And I am sort of trying to avoid placing the buses on these main roads, which I think we can kind of avoid in here quite nicely because ultimately I don't think we need a bus on this main road because nothing's built on the other side of it. So bringing it down here seems good. Bringing it up and into this space seems good. And then kind of over this way seems like a decent little route for it to take. And then it can just sort of loop back down and in here. So that one's actually going to be super, super easy to set up. So it comes out here. It cuts down this way. Cuts down this way. It is going up and around here, all the way across, down, and straight across this road, which is absolutely perfect. So that is London loop number 2, which again is going to have that beautiful dark red color. It does cross over itself at that intersection, and that road will probably need expanded a little bit for some more lanes. But this is some pretty decent coverage so far. So let's kind of continue with what we're doing here. We're going to come out. We are going to go probably up and through this space. So we'll have a stop here. We'll have a stop here. We can have a stop sort of in here, I think is probably not a bad area at all. Up onto this main road and into the middle of this area, up to here, up to this road. We're basically just creating little loops that go to specific neighborhoods. I know I had a tendency to just bring bus lines out and then straight back on the path that they went out on. We'll try this for London and see how it goes. If it ends up being kind of a pain, then we'll sort of backtrack this a little bit, but I think this will be all right for now. We could at the very least bring this one back to that same spot, which is, I think, a valid option. I think that kind of works out. And maybe what we'll do is, I don't know, do I want to bring this one back exactly the same way? We could bring it back through some of these same stops if we wanted to. I think we'll have maybe a little bit of overlap and just see how it goes. But for now, we'll go ahead and create another new line. It's going to come out here. It is going to this stop, which is totally fine. It is going to this stop. I'm trying to remember what the route's supposed to be. Basically just up and around this entire neighborhood, which is great. It's not going there. It is coming back to Richmond Road. I want to say it is going to come down to here just to change things up a little bit. And then we could, if I wanted to, bring it along this road as well for a little bit of overlap. I'm not against doing that. In fact, I'm slightly tempted to say that after the green, it maybe goes here as well. Like maybe this is a second line that kind of brings you out onto North Street here. We can bring it back as well, just to give people options, you know? I think giving people options here is completely fine. So after York Road, we want to bring it back into North Street, back into Alexander Road, and that should be fine. It's giving people options, and that's totally fine by me. And then, of course, we have this loop that comes out towards the airport. It does some weird stuff in here that I don't necessarily love, but we'll sort of just see how that goes. It is going to sort of cross over itself down here as well, which again, I don't necessarily love, but that's probably fine. Now I'm debating whether or not we want to do a direct line to the airport, and I think I kind of do. I kind of want to use this waypoint to make it happen as well. So we'll just have not to that stop, but up to this one. That should be fine. We'll go to the second platform as well. It comes back across the same bridge. I think I'm okay with that. It's not going to be London Loop. It is Airports Express is what we'll call that one. And we'll make it a let's go for, I don't know. I mean, it's probably going to be red, right? It's most likely going to be red. Let's do like a light green for that one, just to sort of change it up a little bit. I think that's kind of fun. Now all we need to do is get some vehicles for this. That's kind of the next step. So looking into my vehicle options, we have passenger vehicles. We have these guys. I think that's pretty much what we're going to go for. Let me buy, we go out 4 lines plus an airport express. Let's do 16 buses plus maybe 2 for the airport express. We will paint them all red for now. And then if I select 4 at a time and we zoom right in here, London Loop 1 gets 4. London Loop number 2 gets 4. London Loop number 3 gets 4. London Loop number 4 gets 4. And then this one gets painted that sort of green color, and that goes on the Airport Express. Now, I'm curious to see if this ends up being good for London. I'm hoping it moves people around really, really nicely. I am hoping for some very good things here. It's going to be a lot of buses moving around, but hopefully that reduces the amount of traffic moving around London. And we already have some people waiting in here, which is great news. We have people waiting for the airport, which is also great news. We've got a bunch of trucks still working their way through here, which is not as good of news as I would like, but we do have steel getting ready to head to that train, which that's always good. That's very good news. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is turn our attention to the passenger lines still running in and out of London. And the first thing I'd like to do is actually start upgrading these bridges, because as much as I love these stone bridges, they are limited to 56 miles per hour, and that's just not good enough. So this one is going to go straight to this guy. It goes up to like 186 miles per hour, which I think if we hover over it, it goes to 199 miles per hour. This one goes to 112. This one is 56. This has no limit, and this one is 112 as well. So we kind of need this one if we want HS1 to live up to its name, which is that it's a high-speed train track. Unfortunately, that means this one gets upgraded to this, which does look a bit more boring than what we've had, but it's kind of for the best. This is going to give us more efficient trains, and that's kind of just what we're looking for. I think that was the last section of bridge as well. So that now means that we can go in here and we can kind of look at the HS1 trains, which, I mean, it is making money. I think it's making more money now that the cargo trains are gone, and the rate is 782, which is kind of incredible. I think what I'd like to do, though, since these are all 45-year-old trains, is manage the vehicles, and I think we replace them. Now, these guys each have a capacity of 280, which is pretty substantial, all things considered. In terms of what we can replace them with, my options are also quite substantial. We could go for something like a rail bus, which I'm going to say we probably don't do that because it's only got a capacity of 15. These guys have a capacity of 124. They're 4.9 million per year. Just so we're clear, these trains are 4.5 per year. So, I mean, each individual one is 4.5 per year. So we're not going too much further here. An extra, what, 440,000 per year in running costs for the Intercity 125. But then we get into stuff like this. Now, the TGV is about double. In fact, more than double the running costs. It also has less capacity. This commuter train is cheaper with less capacity, and it would be just a little bit faster. And the ICE 1 is also considerably more expensive. Still less capacity by quite a bit, although it's much faster. And that's kind of the trade-off that we have here. We could look into some locomotives. We do have some wagon options in here. This thing can get up to 81 miles per hour. I think we're limited right now to what, 87? Interesting. This guy can do 124. Do we have any locomotives that can do 124 at all? We have this guy. Ooh, maybe that's our option. Okay. This isn't quite what I was expecting to do. This thing is also very expensive per year. Oh, hold on. So, hold on a minute. So, if I want to replace one vehicle, we're gonna waste a little bit of money here. Is what we're gonna do. if I put this guy in here, this is 30 million to replace, or 30 million for just this guy. If I then add these wagons to it, if we want a capacity of 280, we are going to need quite a few of these guys. It is now a 362 meter long train. It is still good. It is 67.1 million per vehicle. This thing is 300 meters long, which I think is about the length of the stations that it's going into. So if we bring this down to be 309, it's still less capacity. The speed is, we're going from 75 miles per hour to 124, which is good. What I would like to see is the total running cost of this train. So we're going to waste potentially 60 million here because the running cost of this train is now how much? 10 million. So again, we have more than doubled the running costs of that train, which tells me that although this thing has close to the capacity of an original HS1 train, we might be better going for the TGV, because the TGV per train is actually cheaper by about $500,000 per year than what I've just built. It is also cheaper to buy a TGV. It just has less capacity, which I don't love, but it is over double the speed of those original trains. So, man, this is going to be expensive. This is going to be expensive, but I think if we add this, we're talking 282 million. I don't know if I love that shade of green. I don't know that I love that shade of green. I think the darker one's quite nice. Let's just give it a shot. We're just going to do it is what we're going to do. It's got a lower capacity, but much higher speed. It is hopefully going to work out. The line in general now has a rate of 402, which isn't really ideal. I'm kind of hoping for good things. What I'm mostly hoping for, though, is that although this thing is going to fill that a little bit quicker, I want to see it get up to speed. I'm hoping that if these guys actually get up to their top speed or close to it, we might be able to sort of trade out some of the losses that we have here. You know, despite the fact that each individual train is moving fewer people, each individual train is what, 7 and 75 and 75 will be what? 7 7's 14, so it's 150. So each train is like almost 2.5 times faster than the ones that were here previously. So it should work out, right? It should. I mean, each train is also twice, so they're like 2.5 times faster at twice the running cost. We're also down to under $500 million overall, so we're playing a very risky game here. But I think I kind of need to. I'm enjoying the fact that we're not making a ton of money. And to be fair, half the reason we're not making a ton of money is, well, we can have a look in here and I can tell you exactly why we're not making a ton of money. We're losing a ton of money on the Liverpool machines to Newcastle thing. Belfast has a lot of lines that are losing money. Castlebar to Limerick is losing money. Planks to Machines is losing money. There's a lot of lines over in Ireland that are losing money. Multiple millions are being lost over there, especially in and around Belfast, which is absolutely going to be a project at some point. I'm also noticing that this thing is not accelerating the way I thought it would. It's faster-ish, right? It's going very slowly for a train that I thought would be going very quickly. That has me worried. I feel like these things are not designed for little short stops. These things I feel are designed for super long distances between stops, which has me thinking that this HS1 is not going to make money. I'm slightly concerned about this. To be honest, part of me wonders if maybe tunnels are slower. I don't know what the speed limit of a tunnel is. It doesn't really seem like there is one. So it might just be the fact that this is just a big curve around here. That might be slowing us down. I mean, we can find out. If I do this, the limit there is like 137. So this should be a little bit faster. It just doesn't seem like they want to do it, which has me slightly concerned. I mean, it is faster. The trains are moving faster than the ones we had here before. They're just not moving much faster, which I don't love that. I'll be honest. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that they are not really moving all that quickly. Although this line is still making money. And if anything, it's making more money now. So that's nice. We've got that going for us. And there's a decent number of people waiting in here. And there's a decent number of people wanting to move around London, which is great news as well. Speaking of things moving around London, we do have some steel sitting in here. It would be nice to get a little bit more steel sitting in here. Although it also seems like we just have a lot of trucks waiting to get into this space. So we might need to make some changes to what I've got going on in here. Also, there are so many trees on this station. I'm really not too sure how this has come about or how I've allowed this to happen. And that reminds me, actually, just while we're here talking about detailing, I want to put a bunch of stones along the side of this. I think it would look really cool. So if we just go in and get the eraser and take out pretty much all of this, and I get a really small brush, I want to see if I can just do like this and kind of make it look like we've got, I don't know, just a bunch of stones here, kind of, you know, you see it at the side of like infrastructure all the time. I'm sure there's a term for it, but it's like that thing where you see a bunch of stones and they're held in like a certain shape by like a metal sort of like cage thing sometimes. It's like it's like a natural-ish looking retaining wall, I guess is what I'm thinking of here. I'm sure there's a term for it. Fun fact about my many years of playing infrastructure adjacent games on YouTube, I have learned remarkably little about the terminology and the actual real life practices. I know, shocking, as based on the comments, there are some of you that are keenly aware that I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Yes, I've learned very little through willing participant ignorance. To be quite honest, I feel like part of my charm is my stupidity. So charm might not be the right word, but yeah, no, it hit me recently. I was thinking about it because I watch a lot of well, I don't watch a lot, but I watch the occasional video from some of the City Skylines creators, and every now and then I watch these guys and I'm like, man, they know so much about like just cities in general. Like they're really, really intelligent guys, and I've met some of them at different events and stuff like that, and they're all, oh my god, they're all really intelligent guys, and they know what they're talking about when it comes to cities. And I ask some of them, and they're like, yeah, I've got, you know, this real life experience or that real life experience. I know some of them work as, it might shock you to know that one of them in particular worked as a city planner. I don't know if you can figure out which one that might have been. But I know some of them work in like transport infrastructure, and I know some of them work in jobs that would give them a bit of knowledge about how certain aspects of cities work. And then others are like, yeah, no, I've learned about city design and layouts and stuff like that through my years of playing City Skylines. And then I'm over here like, oh man, I don't know anything. I've learned nothing through my years of playing City Skylines, and I feel bad about that. Sometimes I kind of sit there and I'm like, man, what have I done with the last 10 years? But you know, we've built a fun channel here over the last 13 years, so it's all good. It's not that much of an existential crisis. It's only a little existential crisis. Also, I think this looks great, and I'm very, very happy with it. Oh, you know what I totally forgot to do? I forgot to come up to Manchester and get rid of all these trucks that are trying to move steel, because we don't need them anymore. We don't need that line anymore. So Manchester Steel to Machines is gone. It's just not going to be a thing that we have in here. It's just not even remotely needed, which is honestly good. I'm kind of okay with that. I think it's probably for the best that we clear that out. I am going to keep this guy just because it could be useful in the future if we decide to move things into or out of Manchester, but that should be the last little remnant of that particular line, which is very good news as far as I'm concerned. We are up above 20,000 planks in this factory, which is not exactly ideal. But following this line down here, we should find sooner or later. Ooh, the train has left the station. It's not full, but there's a decent little bit on board, and I'm kind of okay with that. We should see some decent production out of here because if I'm not mistaken, these guys are all moving 678 and 832. So we're doing all right. I will say the coal line is moving less because of traffic problems that'll hopefully get figured out by, well, this roundabout's not really doing much for me, but it'll get figured out by the asymmetrical roads that we have in here at the very least. And that's something that we have going for us. Might not be the worst idea in the world to move this thing out onto its own little stretch of road, but I think for now we'll be okay. I don't know if that's really necessary. This, on the other hand, is, well, it's not doing us any favors, this little road setup that we have here. That is presumably because it terminates into like this intersection. So maybe what we do just to try and help Cambridge out a little bit, because I'm aware that the episode's going on a little bit and I'm trying my best to not, you know, do the thing that I always do, which is say that we're about to wrap things up. And then it's like, hey, an hour later, we're still going. So I'm trying to behave is what I'm getting at. I'm trying and potentially failing, but I'm trying, and that's what counts. We'll do some asymmetry here just so we have a lane for each direction, and that will hopefully help us out a little bit. Where are you guys going? Cambridge Tools to City, huh? Okay. Well, hopefully this will help things out a little bit. Obviously, we have asymmetry coming into the roundabout as well. These coal trucks are moving better now, which is what we're looking for. So again, hopefully we're going to see a really nice amount of steel coming out of this factory and getting loaded onto the trains over here. We do have some sitting around, which is great. And we are making a little bit of money right now. We are approaching $500,000, which tells me that we're doing okay. We're not losing too much. But what I think I'd like to do, given that this London to Belfast line is not making money and the London to Glasgow one is doing okay, I want to make some slight changes. I think I'd like to get rid of one of the aircraft on the London to Glasgow line just to save a bit of money right there. I think London to Belfast, it's moving people, it's not moving many. And that's kind of my problem with it. It's never full. Now, I don't know if getting rid of one of these planes is it about to prove me wrong? No. It's like about halfway full, I think. What's the capacity of one of these planes? 37. It's exactly halfway full. Okay. Let's get rid of this aircraft as well. We're gonna save some money by going down and reducing the number of planes that we have. We could manage this vehicle. We could replace it. It can carry 37 people right now. We could go for the Tupolev Tu-204, which has a much higher capacity. It is double the price to run though, so I don't think we're going to do that. I think we'll just stick with the one Airbus, and that's hopefully going to end up making us a little bit of money here. I might even go so far as saying that we get rid of one of the planes on the Glasgow line, because again, I think we're kind of in a situation here where it never fills up. So we can kind of afford to do that. And again, that's going to save us a little bit of money. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. Looking at my lines overall, we have the Bricks to Limerick and Galway line is losing me multiple millions. There are 4 vehicles in that line. I don't want to spend forever managing these. Like I said, we're not going to do that thing where I'm like, we're done for today, and then an hour later we're still going. I think I just need to figure out why these guys are so horrendously inefficient, and I've never quite figured that out. I know I should have by now, but I really haven't, and I'm not 100% sure why. It's just something that's never really occurred to me to do anything about. Given that they're losing so much money though, I would almost be tempted to just get rid of it. I know that we're bringing, so what is this doing? Bricks to Limerick and Galway. So it's bricks to, is Limerick getting bricks? It is, but not very many. So why don't we set ourselves up for the next episode. Although here's my thinking. If I get rid of this line, I've got bricks going to Belfast, losing money as well. We might need to just get rid of the entire brick production setup that we have here and rebuild it, which could be kind of fun because this was the industry that the entire company was built off of. So I think that's what we're going to do, to be quite honest. I think that's the plan. I think we'll go in here, we'll go to almost stone and bricks. It is making money, but it's not really, it's not balancing out the amount that we're losing. It's also got way more vehicles than it needs. So we're going to manage these and we're just going to sell them. And we're going to go in and get rid of that original line is what we're going to do, which is kind of sad. I'll be honest. It makes me a little sad getting rid of this guy, but I think it's just kind of necessary at this point. We're losing more money from brick production than we're gaining. So I think it's just worth it. Looking in here, and now to be clear, there are absolutely changes I could make that will make these all more efficient. 100% that is the thing that I want to do. But this is just the process of sort of getting myself set up for doing that. We're going to rip out all of these vehicles. We're going to just, I mean, we're losing 2.5 million across these two Belfast lines. So that's immediately the money we were making from the bricks production is gone. So instantly we're kind of improving things here just a little bit. So this line has no vehicles on it. It can go. This line goes. This line goes. And that's also going to clear out some traffic, which is going to be really good for me. Now, this thing is fully leveled. This will downgrade. It'll go down and down and down back to level 1. We are really going to be starting from scratch here. But I'm sort of okay with that. I think it's probably for the best, to be totally honest. Now, the bricks to Limerick and Galway line, if I remember right, it is bringing, if we look at this line, I can tell you what it's doing. When it gets to Limerick, it is loading up on food and it's bringing that up to Belfast. Now, there is a good amount of food waiting to go down to Dublin, so I don't think I'm going to get rid of those lines. I think what we'll do is manage the vehicles. I think we're going to sell 2 of the trains, and I think we'll replace the other 2 with some decent locomotives. I don't really want to get too, how much are you for running? You are 2.3 million. Your speed is limited to 75. Your length is 208. Okay. What is the locomotive at the front there? The BR218? Okay, so it's this guy. All right, so if we wanted to go electric, which I don't think we can, I don't think all the tracks over here are actually electrified. Let's change this out for a nice sort of light green at the front there. I think that's fine. And then the cargo on this guy is going to be boxcars. It's moving food. We'll make these guys like a sort of tan-ish color. It's going to be a really horrendous looking train, but I'm kind of okay with that. Lengthwise, what is it currently? 208. Let's go for 199. It's got higher capacity. This is just for moving food. That is all we're doing. So this line is now going to get renamed to, let's see, train cargo. It is now going to be a Limerick line, and it is food to Belfast is how we're going to look at this. That is the only thing I'm interested in this line moving. So if we go to here, manage the vehicles, it's not even that. I want to do this one. Let's change this to, I don't know what color Limerick needs to be. Green, I guess, is fine by me. We need to manage the line. We need to say it's not going through Mullingar. Or is it going through Mullingar? Does Mullingar need food? It doesn't. So it's not going through Mullingar. It is going to those waypoints. And if we go to this waypoint, it's out here. So on the way down, it needs to go from Belfast to this waypoint. So it avoids Mullingar completely. And that is now just going to be a food line. So in Belfast, the only thing you're doing is unloading food. In Limerick, the only thing you're doing is loading up on food. And that is hopefully going to turn things around a little bit. Hopefully that's going to give us a little bit of a little something in here and improve things and hopefully stop losing money. The planks to tools to city line is actually making money, which is kind of amazing. I love that for this line. Very big fan of the fact that it is doing quite well. If we look at it, It's Belfast to Limerick to Mullingar transfer, presumably bringing something up from Limerick that both Mullingar and Belfast want, presumably tools. So that line can honestly stay. It making money is good news. If we look at the lines overall, the Castlebar to Limerick line is still losing horrendous money. So unfortunately, as much as I enjoy this line, and as much as I like the idea of having that little shuttle in there, these trains, I mean, look, they're great. I love this little like urban looking line. This looks so cool to me. I really hate that I'm going to get rid of these guys, but they need to go. 4 million in losses is not acceptable whatsoever. So yes, unfortunately, they are gone. I'm going to keep the line though, because I'm not giving up hope that that line can one day be profitable. It probably won't be, but it could be. Mullingar to Limerick is train passengers. That's interesting. I'm assuming, so hold on a minute. Why is this not profitable? It does move people. It doesn't move very well. It probably just doesn't move very many of them. I wonder if this should get swapped out for a multi-unit vehicle then. Remember when I said I wasn't going to do the whole micromanagement of these problems right now? Yeah, I knew I would. Let's sell one of them. These trains are how much to run per year? 2.3 million. If I was to swap these out for multi-unit electrics or even diesel locomotives, it is 4.9 for one of these guys with a capacity of 100 on the originals, a capacity of 124 here. We could put one of these here locomotives in here. We could do one of these guys. Maybe not. I guess what we have is probably fine. We'll leave what we've got for now. We'll keep those locomotives. Looking at the rest of them, London Steel to Machines will figure itself out. London Machines to Belfast is losing money. We will well, that's because it's not moving machines now that I think about it. So we don't need to worry about that. Belfast fuel to train, tools to docks should be a little bit more efficient now. This thing has a rate of 116 right now. We could swap out these vehicles for some actual big old trucks, which might be good for us. We'll see how that goes. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the vehicles could be sold. A little bit less traffic on the roads, never hurt anybody. And then we have Dublin Brick City, Belfast, Glasgow. Belfast to Glasgow, honestly, it's still using some older planes. Let me sell one of them, and then let me swap out the other for the A320. So yes, it's an expensive upgrade, but it's one bigger plane as opposed to two. We'll see if that works out. Oma Fuel to City is probably stuck in traffic. There's a lot of stuff in there. Birmingham Machines to City, Shrewsbury Machines to City. Again, not moving machines right now because we haven't been making them. Belfast to Oma, stuck in traffic most likely. There's probably a lot of traffic problems around here is what I'm getting at. But at the very least, we have gotten rid of some of the vehicles that were losing us money. We do have still some traffic problems everywhere, unfortunately, that we will need to deal with in just Ireland in general. But I do think getting rid of some of those lines and getting rid of some of those vehicles is, I think it's the right call right now. I would, and I do want to, and we are going to rebuild the brick production. We just need to do it in a bit of a better way. And you know, I've just realized that the Manchester to Glasgow line is remarkably profitable. It's doing very well for itself, and it's using older trains. It is a rate of 655 right now. I'm gonna do something potentially really dumb, and I might swap these guys out for a TGV. I'm strongly considering it. It'd be 344 million to do it, but it would be much faster. These trains right now are capped out at 75 miles per hour. There is a lot of distance between some of the stations on this, so these guys might get up to speed. I am going to I'm going to take a chance. We're going to take this chance. 344, we're down to 210 million. I like this idea. I like giving myself this challenge to see if we can kind of, you know, stay on top of things a little bit. It's kind of fun. Now, what I would like to do is make sure that all of my bridges that this line uses are upgraded, which I think they are. This is used, I think, by a cargo line, so I'm not super worried about it. I actually don't know if there are any bridges that this line uses. Oh, there's one right here. So this needs to be changed out for this guy because it's got a faster top speed. And then we just sort of come through. We go through all of here. And I think for the most part, we are fine. Now, I'm not expecting it to get up to top speed between Glasgow and Edinburgh. But there's a lot of people that want to go to Newcastle. There's a lot of track that sort of goes through here. Some nice sort of straight sections around here. I'm expecting some good speeds between Edinburgh and Newcastle. And then Newcastle and Manchester has a lot of space as well. If we look at this guy, it goes down this way. So it kind of avoids that bridge. I would hope for some good things. Looking at it, we're up to 92 miles per hour. So it's already going faster than it was. It's still accelerating as well. So I'm really hoping this works out, and I'm really hoping I just haven't, crippled my company. Okay, so while industry in Ireland is sort of winding down and crawling to a halt in a few places, we are starting to see machines production over here by Liverpool picking up a little bit. And that is more than anything kind of what today was about. So mission accomplished in that regard. We also have a ton of planks still coming in here, and I've turned down the amount of time that those machine trains will wait around, which should mean that my steel trains can get in here just that little bit quicker. And for what it's worth, they're doing really well for themselves as well. I say this one is doing really well for itself. It is completely full, 169 steel beams on the train. There's like 200 of them waiting back in London as well, which means that we probably want to get another one of these guys. It's also probably worth pointing out that HS1 is making more money now than it has ever made before. It's just that the running costs for HS1 are also considerably higher than they've ever been before. It's 57.3 million last year, or possibly in the second half of last year. I don't know what exactly this is. This is what is that? Running costs 1995. Running costs. Okay, so it's May of 1995. So the running costs, we'll say, are about 57.3 million, which is ridiculous. The profits, however, were 59.8. So yes, running costs are higher than they've ever been. Profits are also doing just fine for HS1, which is good, I guess. Hopefully that continues to be a thing. We are sort of making money. We're sort of losing money. It's going back and forth. I'm not sure what way it's going to go, but I'm hoping for the best. Manchester to Glasgow, on the other hand, is not making money anymore, which is slightly upsetting. Is certainly one word for it. We'll go with upsetting as the term that I will use. The running costs and profits are also both higher than they've ever been before. 43.6 million income, 42.4 in the running costs. So again, we might turn things around here. I'm hoping for good things here. It might just take a while for things to balance out. And I should also probably mention that there are just a ton of people wanting to use that line, so maybe they're getting held up somewhere. We do have a ton of people wanting to go out of Birmingham towards both Manchester and Oxford. There are a ridiculous number of people who want to go from Oxford to Birmingham, which tells me that we could probably do a bus that connects those two, or we could do just like one little train that goes back and forth and probably makes a ton of money, but we're not going to do that right now. Anyway, with all of that said and done, with the new lines up and running, with some old lines, some old inefficient lines at that now gotten rid of, I think we can leave it there for today. We have our new steel train coming in here to pick up a bunch of the steel that's at this station. There's over 300 steel on that platform, so the other train should be coming in not too far behind this one, and we should start to get a ton of money out of this guy. I think this is a huge improvement over what we had at the start of the episode, so hopefully you agree. But like I said, that's going to do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.